So it's going to be a heck of a project. I think we're going to have to break this up into individual videos. So hang on, guys. We're just now getting started. What do you think there, Bob?
Looking good, buddy.
Is it looking good?
It's starting to look like a project.
It is.
Project, yeah. You're gonna have such an awesome system.
Yeah. We do have 4 batteries from Dr. Repair, just to give you a shot of those right there. Bob is going to be handling all of the reviews on that, and I'm going to be handling the long-term reviews. I'm going to be letting you know how these work for me, and we'll see. I'm really excited about getting switched over to the lithiums. I think it's going to be a game changer for boondocking in general.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people following in your footsteps. This is going to be a big conversion to a lot of people with RVs built in the early 2000s, or even the late 1990s and stuff.
Right.
Got to go to the same inverter conversion and all the charging issues you're addressing.
Right.
So I think a lot of people will like this.
Yeah.
And these prices are just coming down.
That's the exciting thing, is the prices are coming down, and you start looking at having to replace batteries. This has to be a consideration.
Oh yeah, for most of us.
Yep.
It definitely is.
Absolutely. All right, time to get to work.
Let me go get a chainsaw and we'll get that
chainsaw. Wait, a chainsaw? Not a chainsaw, Bob.
Dave, put your pants on before we start this.
I may or may not be wearing pants. That is a lot of stuff right there.
On the table?
On the table. What is going on, guys? Okay, so this project is actually going to become 2 projects. We're going to do a battery install and an inverter install. We're actually upgrading the inverter, and we're upgrading the batteries, and we're going to do those 2 separately. So I've pretty much got everything on this side of the table is going to be for the battery install. Everything over on this side is going to be for the inverter upgrade. And we have just a few different things to discuss on each one of those. We've got a Renogy DC to DC onboard battery charger. That's going to separate our alternator plus our solar, plus is going to charge both our house batteries, the lithiums, and it's also going to charge our service batteries, our chassis batteries, which is going to be the 6-volt lead acid batteries. So that's going to be a valuable tool in separating the alternator and protecting the alternator so I don't burn it up. We've got a Victron Smart Shunt, and that's going to monitor the batteries, the power coming out of the lithium batteries, so I know what's going in and what's going out, and I just kind of show you that just a little bit. Just for monitoring on the lead acid side, the 6-volt golf cart batteries, which we are going to keep, and I need another shunt, and this one is just an inexpensive battery monitor and shunt, 100 amp, and that's going to go on the 6-volt battery side. That is going to take care of monitoring those batteries, knowing how much power is going in, how much power is going out. We've got some fuses that we're going to be adding on. These are trip fuses right there. They're resettable 60 amp fuses. I got a couple of those. I've got a new battery switch that's going to be going on. This is a monitor, the BT2 monitor for the Renogy 50 amp DC to DC. That's just a plug-in, but we'll be putting that on. That helps monitor the systems this system through Bluetooth. Wire looms, arc clamps. We're even going to be making our own battery cables, all right? And because I want to be able to make those 2 size, I've got It actually takes quite the crimper to do that. Right there, there is a hydraulic crimper for doing the big terminals. Right there. We've got shrink wrap. Right now the plan is I want to get the lithiums. I'm going to wire this in so that the lithium batteries are going to be powering the 110 on the coach. I'll show you those right here. And you can see how the lithiums are going to set in there. I've been checking with Bob. We're just kind of looking at making sure that it's all going to fit. And those are going to drive the inverter. Those are just going to take care of the inverter and the 110 power through the coach. Over on this side, we've got the 6-volt golf cart batteries. These are what I have had in here for the last 3 years. They've been powering the coach great. I don't want to get rid of those. I want to add that amperage on. I want to be able to use that amperage. So these batteries are all going to service all of the 12-volt functions throughout the coach. I've got TVs, I've got my laptops, I've got things that I plug into 12-volt, the 12-volt lighting, the stereo, the Wi-Fi booster, the cellular booster. All these things run on 12-volt. That's what the 6-volt batteries here are going to be running. So the two systems are going to be separate. Then I'm going to have another problem. I have to be able to charge lithium batteries and the 6-volt golf cart batteries. I have to be able to charge those separate because they do get charged separately. You can't charge lithium and lead acid batteries the same. So I'm going to need a system that will charge those lithiums with a lithium profile and the 6-volt golf cart batteries. So it's going to be a heck of a project. I think we're going to have to break this up into individual videos. So hang on, guys, we're just now getting started. Okay, so first step, I need to shut off all the power to my inverter, disconnect the batteries. So let me walk on back here and see if I can't make that happen. All right, and this one up here is marked inverter. Sorry, I don't have any more light back here. I don't have light. So can we see that? Inverter right there. I really don't want to open up any of this electrical until we have all the power off and verify it. We got that shut down. All right.
You got a green light?
The green light over here, so we don't on the inverter. That tells me that the battery has been disconnected to the inverter. 110 power is off. The green light back over here, these are the two solar panels, and that's still connected to the battery. I need to the solar chargers, and we're replacing this one. This one is going to get moved up out of the way of the batteries so that the batteries have a little bit more room here. The first part is getting all of the wiring out and disconnected. And this is the old MS-2012. And we're gonna swap it over.
This looks different than mine.
It might be a little bit different.
Might be a little bit. This here should be really easy.
Yeah, it should be pretty straightforward.
So you got a picture. Let's see. Do we need to label these?
You want to hold the camera, Bob? I grabbed my multi-tester, and I'm just going to be checking for power. And we've got none there, none there.
Shutting it off at the breaker
Yeah,
panel?
So I shut it off at the breaker panel. I thought because we were still plugged into shore power, I thought we'd still have power back here and show you. Going and checking all of those leads.
You turned it all off, or the big 50 amp?
I have one breaker that actually has shuts off power to the inverter itself.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have any power back here. So this is actually safe to go. The wiring diagrams are in the manual, so If they're, we'll have to look
Yeah,
at
it's so much easier if we just know exactly how it was.
if they're the same.
They look to be.
Yeah. See if we can get those to pull out.
Here, let me get, don't you dare.
That's okay. I'm just trying to turn it because we've got to get the battery cables off.
Okay. Yeah, tilt it or turn it?
I'm not sure. How about like that?
There you go.
Now these cables are going to go bye-bye because they are 2-aught cables and they aren't big enough. Even though they're big fat cables, that's not highly technical enough to handle.
Need some bigger, fatter
You
cables.
need bigger, fatter cables. The proper wiring that you need to look up in your magazine, in your manual for your inverter, and it will tell you the proper wiring that you're going to need. It also depends on how long that run is going to be. If it's going to be a long run, you might be required to have even larger cable. Hopefully we don't need larger cable because 4-aught is as
Pretty
big as, that's as big as the cable as I could find without going to the Golden Gate and cutting some down. So
Getting an I-beam. Huh?
yeah, exactly.
Is this ready?
That is ready. That is ready to come out.
If you wonder why I'm doing this, they just had a surgery.
I did, and
And
I
the
thank
doctor
you,
said,
Bob. Thank
Where
you
do we
so
want to set this? Just here?
I can lift, but you guys are
And we
won't
want
let
this-
me. You're doing all right. And we're gonna let's lift that right into the same orientation.
So you want
we
this
had there.
first?
Well, we're gonna pull these cables
that-
out because we don't have our battery cables in or made to put this one in, but we could hook up our 110 so that.
But
we
then
have,
it'd be harder to get to this.
Yeah.
You don't have to-
Let me see. As long as we have 110 inside so that the refrigerator can run, I think we're doing fine. And I
Okay.
think that is on. So put your hand to the camera right there. Let's go and check the fridge. Let's see if the refrigerator is on. If it is, then we can just go straight to getting the solar controllers moved up and out of the way. Looking pretty dark in here. I don't know. Nope, we don't have any power right now. Yeah, so looks like that power is running through the inverter, and that's what's driving the refrigerator. So we don't have any power right now. Nope, we don't have any power right now. So we'll need to get that 110 swapped over, and so we can get our power back on there. Hang on, guys. It only gets better from here. So we temporarily hooked the cables back up to the new inverter just to make sure that that was coming on. We do have power coming out, but we just learned something.
Let me get you
Yeah.
while you're talking.
Sure. So we just learned something though. We were trying to get power out to the rest of the coach so I could get my refrigerator back on and make sure that the inverter was going to work.
Yeah, it's a used inverter. So
Right,
that was
so-
a big question.
Yeah. We weren't getting power when we hooked the 110 up. There should be a pass-through that allows the 110 to pass through from the shore power from here over to these. It wasn't doing it. Well, I think, Bob, you said, why don't we try hooking up the batteries and see if that turns it on? And sure enough, that allows the pass-through and allows the 110 to go out to the rest of the coach. Learn something new every day.
You don't know what you don't know.
That's it. So now we've got to make cables, but we need to get the batteries fitted inside the bay here. I need to move those. So before we can make cables,
So
we
move
need,
your solar chargers up
yeah.
so you can use that space to set the batteries in.
Yep, exactly. And once those out of the way, we can get the batteries in. Then I can actually measure my cables, tell exactly how long I need, and we can make some cables.
So these we don't need to mark.
We're not going to do any more on the inverter. We still need to cut wires and make wires for this, so it's just temporarily installed so we have some power. Bob is grabbing the solar controller up here. These are going to be in the way of our batteries. Our battery height's going to be up here, so we need to raise that up. But in the case of this gray one, we're pulling it out because we're going to put our DC to DC charger in there.
And these are both turned off, so we're good there.
Yeah, these are our breakers coming down, and I really recommend this if you're going to run power down from your roof, from your solar, going to two breakers. These are resettable so that you can just stop them and start them whenever you need, or if they pop, you know, you can reset them right here. Really like these. We're going to be adding some more, and
they come in different sizes.
They do.
You've got both 50 amp.
Yeah, these are both 50 amp. I have two 60 amps, and I believe I have two 40 amps. So as we need them, we're gonna use them. And boy, you just got that right out, didn't you? Good job. Good job.
It's not square.
Good. That'll hold that. Look at that, how they fit in there. That is beautiful right there. All right, here you go. It's still going on. Let me shut this off so we can do some scheming here, some planning for what we need next. Hold on, guys. I couldn't get them open either. We're gonna try to cut 4/0 cable, and we don't have a cable cutter, but I do have a Sawzall. So, wish me luck. See if we can get through this. Gary, don't stop laughing. I know that Gary's laughing. Okay. Okay, so here's what happened. We tried to cut it with a saw. If you're planning on making your own cables, this isn't going to be an option, which I found out. You're gonna need some cable cutters, something like these right here. See if I can, let me hold these over in the light. Something like these right here. All right, they need to be able to wrap around that wire and cut it. I was unable to find these in town to buy. Thankfully, I went down to Napa in Florence, Oregon, talked to them down there. They agreed to let me use theirs to go ahead and cut the cables. Thank you, Napa. I appreciate it. They've come through for me so many times, I can't even tell you. This is going to be a lifesaver. So we can go ahead. Yeah, if you're going to do your own cables, you're not going to be able to cut them with a saw. I found out. You gotta have some cutters. Gotta have some cutters. Just like that. Put a little goop on there. This is the antioxidant. Get in there. Get in there, just like so. Look at that, guys. That is nice. Now, I have been lining up where it's printed on the cable, so it's right on top. If I ever need to see the size of the cables, I'll be able to see it right away. Just like that. There you go. We've got cables. I'm going to be doing the rest of these cables, and then we're going to be doing the shrink tubing, and I'll show you how that works. But we got to get the rest of the cables. Hang on, guys. Okay, so the other side of this is we need to do shrink tubing on the end and get that on there, clean up those ends. I'm using a torch, about 2 inches long. Cover it right on up there. Let's see if we can get this. Using a torch, you have to be careful. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to melt it, but it just shrinks right on up.
Come on, Tigger. Come on, Tigger.
There you go. Having the cutter, I was explaining I had to borrow the cutters from Napa, and they let me borrow that, and those have made all the difference in the world, cutting these and getting these. So there's before we shrink it, and I was explaining where I'm using a torch. You can use a heat gun. It's probably safer, but just don't burn it. If you use a torch, just keep it moving, kind of like you're roasting a marshmallow.
I use a lot of that, and I use a little striker propane tubes, you know, with just a little bit of flame.
Yeah.
You move around.
Yeah.
This works so perfect.
Yeah, look at that. There you go.
And you can't get better than that right there.
That is a good cable right there. That is a good cable.
Length, you
Yeah.
think? Huh?
Yeah.
Dave, get your elbow away from that flame.
You want to keep filming this, or you want me to? I'm gonna go sit down and sip a wine.
I'm the master of the.
The flame.
Burst into flames. Doing my best Michael Jackson run across the stage.
That's getting too deep.
Somebody put me out. Somebody put me out. Oh boy. Okay. Next.